So Nerd City just put out a video that made me realize we've all been manipulated by Jake Paul.
Jake said that concerns about advertising to children are ridiculous, that his merch simply reminds kids to be happy, and that we should shut the up.
It also made me think of all the criticism towards the series because Shane let himself become too vulnerable to Jake in order to gain access to him.
I knew I had so many things in common with you.
Let's start with Nerd City.
I honestly think it's stupid that people think that's manipulative. It's ridiculous.
Go tell your mama she gotta buy it all.
How can Jake, the CEO of Team 10, who's making millions a year, not know how his reach works? He flat out lied to Shane when he said he doesn't have power over kids. He also played dumb to the point where Shane had to use SpongeBob as a comparison.
But isn't there like commercials in between SpongeBob?
Yeah, but it's not SpongeBob. You're the one that the kid trusts and loves and looks up to and wants to be.
Jake spoke at a business conference to teach companies how to better market to kids.
Hold on, be right there.
The name of the panel you led was Influencing the Buy, tapping into the power of social influencers, where one of the major goals was educating brands on how to get kids to buy things using social influencers.
Jake has spoken professionally in business interviews about his marketing strategy.
Kind of like saw the value in influencers and like how much power we had, and like
I realized with this much power, why don't I create and own the pie instead of promoting someone else's pie?
He even has a online course about how to become social media famous.
influence.
It's just playing on little kids' dreams to make money.
Even potentially be able to join Team 10 if you take this course.
Why is it locked? I've paid for this.
Hey, what's up guys? Jake.
What the
You look at that business model and you look at what that is targeting and the target demographic of that, you are sure manipulating and taking advantage of your younger fans.
He's also pulled marketing stunts like making a song about merch,
Buy that merch. Buy that merch.
using very young children in videos wearing his merch,
You're cute, so they'll buy the merch if you wear it. I'm gonna need you to put this on and go in front of the camera, okay?
using a cartoon character in his videos to attract children,
Designed after a minion, advertises Jake's merch, retweets his raunchy music videos, and stars in Instagram posts alongside Jake.
plugging his merch literally all the damn time.
Out of a 13-minute and 50-second video, nearly 7 minutes of that time is devoted to advertising products.
And even encouraging his fans to promote his merch in the chalkboard challenge at school.
Write the link to my merch site, take a picture, tweet it, and I will follow you on Twitter. And it turns out many of his young fans did this, and then they got in trouble.
And he has another YouTube channel called Paul Biz that literally gives advice on how to grow social media fame and use influencers.
I'm gonna be talking about how to grow your business using influencers.
Selling a product, becoming social media famous.
I have no problem with influencers selling merch and trying to make it big, but it becomes problematic when the method of promotion is unethical.
I think you have to market to them a ton of times to like make sure that they're like reminded of what message you want to push to them.
Merch.
There's a limit to how much you can advertise in a video, and there are rules about pestering children to buy your product. And it's just plain wrong to market to children because they're incapable of making critical judgment. Jake was also aware of the reach he would get by working with Shane Dawson, one of the most respected and popular YouTubers of the moment. He knew that just like any other docuseries Shane made, there would be interviews, and it was a chance to look vulnerable and tell his truth. Many viewers saw through that bull because Jake avoided a lot of important questions about Team 10 and his influence. And some even lost respect for Shane for going too easy on Jake. Here's what people have to say about it. This docu-series has turned out exactly like what everyone was afraid of. His Twitter is flooding with thousands of people saying they like Jake Paul now and can't stop listening to his song. Jake Paul is literally making thousands off of this. It's very clear now that this was not an unbiased docu-series. I watched the entire thing from beginning to the very end, and unsubbed. What about Jake's casting couch? What about all his abusive behavior? What about the fact that he's the biggest hole alive? I'm gonna guess that Shane and Jake ended up relating on being raised in abusive households, but that's not an excuse to be an asshole later in life. I'm seriously considering unstanding Shane after all these years. I don't have the whole timeline of interviews, but he had already interviewed Jake like a month before Alyssa, right? By the time he even interviewed her, he already had his mindset on Jake. He already picked a side. He probably didn't believe anything Alyssa said and only intended to interview her to clear Jake's name, which is probably why he didn't dig deeper when she brought up the abuse and casting couch. He straight up told her, "I'm glad you're not saying there was physical abuse," right after she described physical abuse. I don't think Shane wanted to give Jake a redemption arc, but he did come too close to some subjects, like relating to Jake about his abusive household as a child. Right there, they develop an emotional bond that can interfere with the objectivity of the rest of the interviews. We even saw in the last episode, Shane struggling to tell Jake that he doesn't know right from wrong, and even answering questions for Jake.
Here's the thing, I don't think you're manipulating. I don't think you know. I don't think you're trying.
Go tell your mama she gotta buy it all.
It just bothers me that like people would even try to make that connection.
Influence.
You're cute, so they'll buy the merch if you wear it.
I think Shane meant well and wasn't trying to just make a pro-Jake series, but the more I think about it, the more I realize the series didn't deliver on what it promised. Since he didn't film everything ahead of time, the teaser no longer makes sense.
What is this? What the is this? Why does it have to be like, wait, you can't say this? Oh, ding ding, my phone goes off. You can't say this. And bing bing, want to FaceTime but don't record it. Nobody wants to be completely honest, right? And now I am just.
He also never followed up on why Jake's mom made videos exploiting Jake like he said he would. And he never followed up with Jake on the sociopath inspection in the last episode. The Katie revelation was just dropped in the last few minutes like a hot potato.
But so did she say anyone was a sociopath in our group?
We'll talk about that in the next video.
Did she?
Some people even argue that Shane didn't do his research well because he believed Jake way too easily about things that turned out to be lies. I acknowledge that Shane worked very hard on the series, and anyone in the series could be lying. So has Jake changed at all after the series?
I think that's something that I learned is like for every action, there's a consequence. And I know that now, but like I don't think I realized that in like the height of my like vlogging days.
It seems as though Jake is trying to take a step back from crazy vlogs and making higher production videos. But I still see him plugging his merch all the time.
We should get him a cake. We should get him the new hometown collection merch, always plug.
And he even let Titus, mini Jake Paul, move into the Team 10 house after Shane said it would be a better idea to separate real life from vlog life.
What do you want? Okay.
I've said it before. Cancel culture can be toxic, and people are capable of change. We should give them the space to let them change. But until they actually change,
I just don't know who's around being like, don't post that.
We need to keep calling them out when they screw up.
You don't know what the line is.
Because it seems like no one else around them is doing that. What do you think about the criticisms around the series? Let me know in the comments below.